Right, we do have a question. This is from one of our DJs, DJ Willy. Good morning. Would you like to say good morning to DJ Willy?
Good morning, DJ Willy.
Good morning.
Right, I doubt whether you're saying good morning afterwards, but it comes from his heart.
Okay.
So listen carefully, it's a very long one. Right, question. I know that it's very important to highlight race, gender and disability awareness. Do you think that we are stopping moving forward by promoting individual awareness? And he's put, this isn't knocking or taking away from these issues, but I see people fighting over individual social awareness. He's put, as I know, he's autistic and he promotes lots of things to do with this, and my wife is now disabled. Should we be moving forward together, equality as one?
Okay. So in that question, is he trying to ask me whether it should just be collective?
I would assume that he's talking that a person should be an individual, so everyone is sort of the same. So that like people don't. Hang on, let me think. So like people don't promote. Say like you've got your hearing loss. So people don't just promote things because they've like got hearing loss. So they try and get their attention in. So they should be doing it because they're the person, or because they've got a hearing loss.
Okay, I completely see where you're coming from. I think it seems now that everyone has some sort of reason why they're different, because I'm disabled or because I've had this, lack of opportunity, so therefore I'm going to use it as a platform. I completely understand from that aspect. However, in an ideal world, sure, those things won't matter, but the fact of the matter is a lot of these things, such as disabilities or your life experiences, very much shape who you are and very much shape how people respond to you. Now, going forward, especially for me in the MissSurreyGB finals, I could very much easily just go as a young woman who, quite frankly, wants to do better in her community. Absolutely. But I think people also have to consider that I am hard of hearing because representation is important. If I were to be on a platform as just like everyone else, people who feel that they are different will feel that things such as the Miss Great Britain finals aren't accessible to them. So I do make mention that I am hard of hearing, and I think that is important for young women and young men of disabilities to understand that feeling different is completely okay. And if you want to refer to my racial background, coming from a multicultural background, I think it is also important to highlight that as well. We are in a community where even though there is an extreme mix and most people are tolerant, there are still people who would like to make people, even such as myself, feel like we are less English because maybe we can't trace our heritage back to being English for the past 4 decades. And I think not being the typical, English rose in my look, I think it's important to bring attention to that so people feel like, okay, I too am English. And yes, some people may see that as capitalizing on difference. But once again, I think representation is extremely important, and representation can only progress forward if we are made aware of those differences, and to be not only made aware, but also to show appreciation for those differences. I hope that answers your question.
I hope that does, Willy. That was very good. I'll just bring you back to, you just said about not being the typical English rose.
Yeah.
See, I see like a very beautiful young lady sitting there in front of me.
Thank you.
And to me, that's, I don't know, the English rose, that's so out and dated now.
You know what it is, but the problem is a lot of people still think like this.
Really?
So even going to other countries, or even, being here, a lot of people then question, oh, you're English, but what are you? And I think growing up for many people of colour, you're always made to feel that, okay, I'm English and I'm very strong English, but then I also have to pay homage to other aspects of my culture in order for you to really understand or accept my Englishness. And so, yes, I'm not white, I'm not blonde, I'm not all of these things, but at the same time, through and through, I am an English woman. And I think, especially in a pageant such as Miss Great Britain, where you are seen to be the representation of your country, many people of colour may then feel like, maybe I'm not the correct representation, or maybe people won't see me or be able to identify with me. And I think what people fail to realise is that now we live in a very multicultural community, which is tolerant and accepting and embracing of a multitude of races, cultures and religions. But still, we don't see that enough in the media or in the fashion industry at all. So yes, am I your traditional or standard British woman that you would see advertised on TV to other countries? No. But am I a representation of what Britain currently is? Absolutely yes.
Definitely, I get it now. Basically, what we all do is we have that box, and it has on the outside, say Jamaican, so all the coloured people are in there, the Chinese or the...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's not, you need to let everyone out of that box, don't you?
Exactly. So it should be that, you can be in the street speaking Patois, you can be Muslim, or you can be speaking Chinese, and still people are like, what are you? English.
Yeah.
And there's no, but where are your parents from?
Yeah.
Just English. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. And you also speak Chinese, and then you go, oh yes, that's because my heritage is da-da-da. But never feeling like it's English plus as some sort of moniker. And I think that's important. I think it's important to understand that your English identity can stand as its own, as well as your heritage can stand as its own, and you don't have to sacrifice one in order to be the other.
Yeah, because that's what you are, where you're born.
Exactly, it's what I identify with, my humour, my food taste. Obviously, there are mixes, in and out from other cultures that I may be comprised of. But if at the end of the day you ask me what I am, that is English. And maybe on other days it will be, Jamaican, because that's where my dad's from. But it shouldn't be that, because maybe one day I feel more Jamaican than the other, that makes me any less English. And I think that is extremely important for young people to be aware of, that you can claim your identities equally and wholly.
And Skybrook, what do you think about what was just said? Is that...
I agree. I don't really understand as much as you are, but I do.
Yeah.
I am picking it up.
Yeah, because what she's saying, it sort of really doesn't matter what colour your skin is, it's where you're born, which is it's fantastic. It's just, I mean, hopefully we're hoping now with the younger generation coming up and then being taught different, that the world is going to start changing.
Well, I think things are definitely changing. How England was when my mum was growing up is very different to how England is for me growing up, and it probably will be for my children as well. I think we just have to teach our children, and also I guess within ourselves, to embrace.
Yes.
Embracing can be very difficult, especially when you don't quite understand someone else. But I think that's important. I think embracing, but also furthermore education. I think if you're educated to understand the reasons behind other cultural differences or why people are the way they are, I think it makes things a lot easier. And I think things such as what Sky was saying earlier, when you go to another country, not just visiting as a tourist, but when you are able to understand the intrinsic culture of a country, then you can realize, that is why you say you're English, So you can live abroad your entire life, but you're still English. There are people who have been living in Spain for 40 years and they're still English.
Yes.
So I think the same goes for people who are here. I think, you really have to ingratiate yourself in other communities to understand that everyone has a valid claim to what their British identity is.
Wonderful. Right, let's have a little bit of Enola Gay and Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark.